follow in their footsteps. So envision your goals. Like if you have someone that you look up to, try to see how they got there. So that's number one. Mm-hmm. Acquire skills. Take every opportunity as take every volunteer position, any job as an opportunity to get new skills. I had a lot of jobs between my graduation from undergrad to my finally finishing my internship and getting my RD. Yeah. So there were many jobs I had, working at farmers markets, working at schools, working at a WIC office, working all over the place, all over the city. So
get a lot of experience in between.
Yeah, yeah. And I collected all these different certifications. I became a certified lactation counselor after working at WIC. I became a community chef through food, Just Food. And
before you graduated with your RD?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I just graduated from an internship last year. So, it took me a long time to get there, but once I finished everything, now I have all these credentials after my name.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I went from being Fadhylla, that's it, BS, in nutrition, to Fadhylla, MPH, RD, CLC, it just kind of all together.
And where did you get your master's?
So I got my master's in public health from the CUNY Graduate School of Public Health and Health Policy. Okay. So I originally started my master's at Hunter, but the schools kind of split because the School of Public Health was all over the city, on different campuses, but kind of unified on one campus in Harlem. So even though I started my master's in public health at Hunter, I ended up getting my master's at the CUNY Graduate School of Public Health and Health Policy. Oh. Yeah, SPH for short. Yeah.
Going actually really quick. Is it okay to ask you questions?
Sure.
All right,
That'd be great.
So this is kind of conversational. So going back to your first point of one thing you thought was important is finding somebody you admire or want their career path and kind of mentoring with them. Who was that person for you?
Well, it's not just one person. I would say to try to get multiple mentors and multiple people you admire, because you're going to get skills and you're going to get, different things from different people, right? So I personally, I was recruited to work for the Stellar Farmers Market in 2012. From my dear friend Beth Bainbridge, and she was the program coordinator at Stellar Farmers Market. She then kind of later recruited me to work for her at Children's Aid Society, now Children's Aid. And that's, I had my undergrad in nutrition. She understood that I needed some more experience, and she listened to my struggles about applying to the internship all throughout, and she really supported me in a way that helped me not only get experience but get paid for it. I think that was the biggest help for me, because I don't think I could have continued to volunteer without a paycheck. That experience is great, but we live in New York City and it's really expensive. So Beth Bainbridge, hi.
Okay, Professor Axon is observing a class.
Okay.
We have so much to do.
We're on live, just so you know. We're on live, just so you know.
Each other's class.
We're on live.
To observe.
Just so you know, we're on live.
Hi.
Oh, wait. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, just so you know, it's recording.
I'm sorry. I want to
no, it's okay. Just so you know, we're recording.
You can't cut that.
No. Another mentor.
You can talk, but just know.
Okay, I have to go.
Okay.
I have to do exam midterm.
Okay.
But then, Susan Jakubowski is in her office.
Okay.
Doing office hours. So
okay.
If you want, she said,
I'll come by.
Yes.
I'll bring you by. Yes.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you.
And Axon, bring her by.
She's going to finish her observation at 2, and then she will come back to the office.
Oh, so I'll be at 2. We'll drop by. We're done at 2.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
There we go.
Another mentor is my current
Yeah.
So it's funny, like it's all about like to bring it back to not last week but 2 weeks ago, right? You had Miriam. Networking is really important.
Yes.
Networking is really important. So even networking with your classmates, they eventually will become your colleagues, right? So one of my classmates connected me to her preceptor. She was an RD already, so she connected me to her former preceptor, and they wanted to volunteer someone that had experience with breastfeeding education, nutrition education. So I live in Brooklyn, but the Bronx was not much further from Harlem. So I was like, let me try it. And she, eventually became one of my biggest supporters. She helped me. Her name is Sandra Arevalo. So she helped me get a scholarship she pushed me to apply for a scholarship in the first place, like to go to Fancy for the first time.
Cool.
Yeah, so and then she pushed me to get my personal statement, correct. I think that was my biggest struggle.
Yeah.
And then finally, eventually, she hired me. So that's
the importance of like staying connected to people who are in the industry or to be peers in the industry, and the opportunities can come from that.
Yeah. Like you're gonna see your classmates might become RDs before you, but eventually you might be able to work together. That's so always like a really cool thing that might happen. I mean, I've worked with people, and it's like you can be friends and colleagues. Like that's the best.
Awesome. It's like taking the school experience to a different level. Like not just showing up to classes, which is definitely do that, and definitely be immersed in your schoolwork, but also know that it's a benefit to staying connected with your classmates in a meaningful way.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, networking is really, really important.
I mean, that's how we're here.
Yeah.
Right? How we're here.
For sure.
I think I saw you at the farmers market first, and then later saw you at the Diversified Dietetics meeting. And I was like, can you come and talk to us? Come on back to us, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so happy to be here. I wish I had people to support me and look up to here at Brooklyn College, and I think it's difficult, but we're out there. So yeah,
I appreciate that.
Networking.
You are an example that we can make it out, and we will succeed.
Yes, you will. You will,
right.
For sure.
So, what are your other tips? Well, yeah, there's, I guess, two.
I had two. Networking was number 3. I just wanted to really emphasize it. I think Miriam did a really great job of letting you guys know that the nutrition community is very small. So, it's so small. This person, that person, that person. So, it's you never know who you're going to bump into, whether you're going to meetings. So, try to join groups that you're aligned with. NICENN, the New York City Nutrition Education Network, is by far one of my favorites. They have lots of really interesting topics to discuss. But even having a happy hour, the Greater New York Dietetics Association is really fun. They have nice social events. It's not just work; it's also play. You can have conversation and catch up with your peers, with your other former classmates, people you worked with at those events.
Are there memberships for those organizations?
For the Greater New York Dietetics Association, you have to be a member of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and then there's a membership. But there's also student fees, and if you're a member, a lot of their events are free. Okay. So, and for NICENN as well.
Do you think as a student it would be best to join the Academy of Dietetics now, or?
I think you can wait. There's no rush. I think for the...
Or would they still allow you to go to the events and kind of network?
Yeah.
Without being a member?
That's a good point.
Just a question. If you don't know, it's fine.
I think you have to be a member to attend these events. But for example, for the New York City Nutrition Education Network, I think the student membership fee is like for the year, it's like $15 or something like that, and they have at least 4 or 5 events a year that you can go for free if you're already a member.
So that's a little bit better of a deal.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I understand.
I just want to outline the costs because that's
there are hidden costs.
Something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. I know Miriam touched a little bit on costs of the dietetic internship, so I want to reemphasize that. It's important to look at costs, especially like living expenses. I was able to save some money before in order to pay for my internship, but living expenses were a different thing. So definitely having some sort of sponsor, whether it's a scholarship, whether it's your family, whether it's your partner, someone that can help you through the internship process in terms of costs. It's not easy. It's not easy.
Do you know any good scholarships?
I don't know. I was not the best at looking for scholarships. Okay. So I do have some, student debt myself that I'm focusing on to try to pay as soon as possible. But I think, at the end of the day, like if you have to take a loan, it's a loan. It's not a big deal. It can be paid, but you have to like really be aware of it, which is not something that is talked about. It's kind of taboo in the nutrition field to talk about like the cost of actually doing the internship.
Well, that's why we need to talk about it, because there can be no taboo spaces when you're a student, and I think we just need to uncover all that.
Especially like
talk about money.
You have to pay for medical. You have to know like, okay, I have Medicaid. Like, so what? Like that's something that is there to make sure that we're not, that we have coverage. So that's there. So unfortunately, food stamps is not covered because there are some like work hour requirements, or at least when I applied, it wasn't the case. It was that's what it was told to me. So that was unfortunate, but we have to be aware of these hidden costs. Yeah. Because we can't work for the most part.
No, I agree. And I appreciate you uncovering that.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing I was thinking about is when you're on your internship, I guess you're always being told it's an expectation. And for me personally, this is far off. Like this is kind of at least 3 years away or so or more. Excuse me, everyone. But I think it's important to think about because what I'm told, you're asked not to work and to focus on your internship. And so then how do you pay for everything, your living expenses, and maintain your health? So to me, that seems like counterproductive to what you're learning. You're learning about nutrition, which is obviously a science, but you're also, learning to kind of help people care for themselves in a way by food and, basically food and nutrition. But yet, how can you take care of yourself when you're going through this internship? How do you get money to kind of, support yourself? Yeah. And to me, that's kind of like, it's a disservice to self.
Yeah. No,
and a lack of self-care.
I completely agree. I was fortunate enough that I was doing my master's while I was doing my internship. So I was able to take out loans from my master's program to be able to cover my living expenses. I paid for my internship, but I ended up getting loans for my living expenses.
Good idea.
So it's something to kind of think about, especially if you're thinking about like an integrated program. That would be, I think, ideal because you're learning and you're doing your internship at the same time. And also, since you're in school, you're eligible for student loans.
Oh, so you're saying that at School of Public Health, you can be on your internship and also get your master's at the simultaneously.
Yeah. I was.
But it's public health. It's not necessarily nutrition, but it's.
I mean, so the.
I guess it's a separate question because that depends on what's available. But at that particular school,
the School of Public Health.
School of Public Health, yes, you can be on your nutrition RD internship and also apply for your master, working on your master's,
right? Whatever
that master degree is.
Yeah, you can do a master's in health education, or like they have a master's in public health nutrition. So that's
something good to know.
Yeah, so I was a little bit difficult because my case was a little difficult. So when I started my master's, it was at Hunter because I was intended to apply for the Hunter dietetic internship, but since it's split, my master's was from the School of Public Health, but I decided to do my internship at Hunter still. So while I was doing my internship at Hunter, I was finishing my master's in public health from a different school, right, from the School of Public Health. So I took out loans from the School of Public Health to cover my living expenses while doing my internship. So it was a little bit difficult. There are ways to make it a smoother transition. I know Hunter has a integrative master's program, so you can do your master's and your dietetic internship at once. And the School of Public Health has their own dietetic internship. So you can do your MPH and do your dietetic internship at the same time. Yeah. So good things are happening, hopefully. People are having a much easier time.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just quickly check my notes.
Yeah.
I definitely had, one of the biggest challenges for me is even before graduating, I feel like it was what I was learning was great, and I can look back at my notes, and I mean I got good grades and everything, but it wasn't put into context because I wasn't seeing it done. So you can learn all you want about tube feeds and flushing the tube and blah blah blah, but if you don't see it, it's kind of hard
you can't
to
make the
visualize.
connection.
Yeah.
So you're not sure what it is.
Yeah. So it doesn't always make sense. So I think using your knowledge and trying to pursue volunteer experiences, or just asking mentors to connect you to places where you can learn to use those skills. It's really important. Because I'm saying that because once I graduated, got my degree, great. I didn't get into clinical nutrition for years. So all of that information when I was doing my internship was hard. It was deep in there somewhere, but it was really hard to get at it because I didn't really use it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you mean. It wasn't in real time. You just learned it, and then 4 years later or how many years later, it's you're on the site and you're I remember that. I don't remember how does that? Right.
So I think it's really important to kind of contextualize what you're learning as much as possible while you're learning it. And one of the sites where I did my clinical rotation in a nursing home, and being in a nursing home, you can see all the tube feeds, you can see all the different diets, you can see all the different textures that people are prescribed, or you can talk to a speech language pathologist. So all of that can be in your volunteer experience before you even graduate. So you can see it done and kind of contextualize what you're learning. So I definitely recommend, volunteering at nursing homes. Nursing homes are more common, it's something that you don't often think about, volunteering in a nursing home, but it's something that I definitely encourage because it is, ultimately that might be your clinical site when you're in your dietetic internship, and it checks all the boxes for a clinical site, right? So I definitely, if you want to learn about school, try to volunteer at an after-school program or something like that, where you can see all the meals prepared for all these hundreds of kids or even, education, nutrition education. Try to get some, or even start your own program. You can start something at a library or something like that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I love that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're if you're learning something in a class, kind of see if you can have that volunteer experience simultaneously while you're taking that class.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just like a 1 day a week thing or once a month thing, if anything, just so that you have that life experience.
Yeah, for sure.
So make it a more meaningful connection than just on the textbook,
mm-hmm.
or even in labs, which I feel fail at sometimes. Making a connection. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. And I think my last point, but definitely not my least, is to focus on learning a language or practicing that language. I cannot tell you how many times I get, now I'm a preceptor, so I get, so I get interns I work in the South Bronx, so I get interns, and, they don't speak another language, and the majority of my population is Spanish speaking. So that already puts you at a disadvantage. Think about the community where you plan to work. Think about that. Think about what their needs are. Think about what language they speak, and try to learn and become Miriam said, also become culturally competent in that culture. So definitely, if you already know some high school Spanish, get on it now, before you graduate.
That'll be me. High school Spanish for sure.
Get on it now. If you know Spanish, practice. Every country has different names for fruits and vegetables. It's even hard for me. I'm what is that again?
Yeah.
So definitely there's a lot of room for improvement there before you even start thinking about the internship and all that. That's just going to make you a better candidate. That's just going to make you a better RD in the long run. Mm-hmm. But if you're planning on working with a population that speaks Creole, that's great. Get on it and speak Creole. That's whatever the language is. Just adding another language makes the population that you can help so much bigger. Your pool of people so much bigger.
It expands.
Mm-hmm.
You just gave us one more thing to do. No, that's fine.
Just in case you had any space for others.
Just in case I didn't have enough to do and learn. No, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's definitely useful. Well, thank you so
Yeah,
much.
for sure.
I appreciate your time. I feel like I want to mention one more thing before we go.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about, before we started recording our live, about the consultation process. That is something that you don't necessarily learn while you're here at BC. Mm-hmm. Can you speak to once you left, how you saw that kind of show up, and what do you think you've missed in that consultation process, or what do you think is needed, or what we should be mindful of?
Mm-hmm. So I remember taking a class on applied medical nutrition therapy, I believe, and our assignment as a mock kind of consult was recording ourselves, and that was hard to do. I think I interviewed my sister. It wasn't supposed to be rehearsed. I totally rehearsed it because I was so nervous. Yeah. It's just something that takes practice. I think once you finish your degree, first of all, you have to be able to talk to people. You have to try to get over that social anxiety of talking to a stranger. It's important to think about how the other person will perceive you. Try to understand that what you're saying, will impact them in some way. So be careful about what you say. Be mindful of not being, disrespectful in any way or forceful. But definitely, you just have to get over that social anxiety of talking to someone. It's just being nice. Hi, how are you? How can I help you? It takes practice, and it takes a lot of listening.
So improving your listening skills. Definitely
Mm-hmm.
being open. This is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Being open.
Listening.
Okay. So these are things that we need to be mindful of while we're in progress in school.
Yeah.
So that we can work on better in consultation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, cultural competency will be your best tool. If you understand what the person is telling you, the foods that they're telling you about, that'll just open up the conversation. Like, you know, if you're telling me about like Dominican food, then I'm like, okay, I like Dominican food. I've tried this. And then they can talk, they understand, it kind of warms them up to you because they know that you understand what.
Yeah, and there's some respect there for
mm-hmm.
their existing food preferences and what and their history.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. So.
All right. Okay, that ends our live. Oh, I look dark. Okay. That ends our live. Thank you for joining us. We'll put this video up on our YouTube, and feel free to send us your questions. Anything you feel like we didn't cover, or you'd like to see the Health and Nutrition Science Club talk about, or any guests that you would like us to have. All right. Bye. Okay. Yay. I'm so like bad at this thing. Oh, I think, this is still taping? Oh, no. Okay. Okay, bye to you guys, too. Thanks for joining us. This will be up on our YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe, as the YouTubers say. But most importantly, just message us. Let us know what you want to see in our next presentation. And thank you.